ask everyone to maybe grab a seat here, and we're going to get started. We may have a couple of folks come in here in a few minutes, but we have a lot of material to cover this morning. This is actually, I think, the third, maybe the fourth year we've had Trey and his technology crew come in to give us an update on our digital transformation. So we look forward to hearing from several members of his team, and they are going to provide us with a bunch of awesome information. I think take us around the district as they have in previous years. So this is going to be a lot of fun. For our folks at home, glad you could join us. This is our Coffee with the Community series. We wrap up semester number 1. We have now posted our second semester schedule beginning in January, so we'll look forward to revving this back up in 2016. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Trey Kotzer. He is our Director of Technology here in Liberty Public Schools.
Thank you, Dallas. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for who's able to join us today. And before we get started, we'd just like to introduce two very important people that actually make this all work, and that is Tracy Crott and Scott Hickey, two of our instructional coaches. And without them, the things that we're going to show you would not be possible. So instead of doing a bunch of slides, talking about what we do, how we do that kind of thing, today we're going to go around the district and show you examples and visit with teachers and students and let them explain to you how they're using technology in the district. I thought that'd be a much better way than just having us stand up here and visit. However, to get started, just kind of talk a little bit about where we are in our technology integration. This is our first full year of having K-12 one-to-one. This is our third year at the high school level. This is the second year for grades 3 through 8, and then this is our first year K2. So we are very fortunate and very lucky that we have the support of the board and the community to be able to provide students and staff with technology to enhance their learning and provide them all sorts of resources. And so really just to jump right in it, we are going to get started with Carolyn Falk, and I'll let Scott kind of do the introduction.
All right, so Carolyn Falk is one of our teachers at Heritage Middle School, and we have right now our 8th grade class. And so, Carolyn, are you there with us? Just a second here. All right, Carolyn, you there?
I'm here.
All right, that's great. We can hear you. We have a great crowd here, and so got a couple questions for you. How has one-to-one access impacted learning in your classroom?
Well, I have 3 students who are going to talk about that more specifically, but one thing that I would say is that this year we, thanks to some connections at Lewis and Clark, we have been blogging with 5th graders, and the fact that my students are able to communicate with 5th graders gives them a better audience. For whatever reason, they would rather write better for the 5th graders than write better for me. I should say that kind of tongue in cheek, but we all know that an authentic audience makes a big difference.
That's great. That's great. And so how did you get that connection with the class over at Lewis and Clark?
Brandon Lewis is on Twitter, and so am I, and he posted a picture of his 5th graders having a conversation about whether they were going to be patriots or loyalists and what was the better position, and that was what we were in the middle of. And so I fired him off an email pretty quickly and asked him if he would participate in it with us.
That's great. Thanks. Social media is very powerful there. So do you have a couple of students for us to visit with?
I do, and they want me to be sure you know that it's Spirit Week and they don't usually dress the way some of them are dressed.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
First up is Keisha. She's not dressed up for Spirit Week.
Okay.
Okay.
So what do you have for us?
Okay, so first I said that the access at home with our computers and bringing our computers home, it really helps us like do our homework and all of that. Then we can get help on the computers by watching YouTube videos or emailing our teachers for help. And it helps us look at problems in different ways by getting on like groups that we can talk to each other about problems and stuff.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's go.
All right, and what's your name?
I'm Alex.
All All right, Alex. So how has the technology helped you?
Well, I really like how we can connect with the fifth graders and more than just email. We can do characters, we can access them from home, we can talk to them about all this different stuff, and then we have all the answers that we need right here in front of us.
Oh, that's great. So what's been one of your favorite projects that you've used with computers?
Probably the one that we just finished was when we had to talk with them about, well, we did this when we were this group of people, like loyalists versus patriots. So we would say, no, you should be a loyalist, you should be a patriot, and we would persuade fifth graders to be either side.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kylie.
Hi, Kylie.
Okay, so computers has helped everybody with like communication and stuff, because instead of having to like go to somebody's house or meeting up with them or something, you can just email them or text them or like Google Plus them or whatever, and that's so much easier because you don't have to take a trip. And even if they're we're in Missouri and they're in Florida, it's so much easier just to email them about a project, and you can just get on something and work on it together. And then for like thinking, you have so many more options, because in a book, you just like open a book and read certain things, but online there's so many more options you can go to. There's so many more websites, and you also have people that give you feedback on things, and it's just a lot easier.
That's great. Thank you.
Right, those are the kids I had lined up for you.
All right, that's great. Do you have any other closing remarks about the one-to-one use in your
Well,
classroom?
I didn't get to hear what everybody, what each of them individually said, but the thing that came across to me when I asked students to contribute what they how they felt technology had improved things, is very much in the sense that even they get that it allows us to be creative in new ways, to solve problems the way they wouldn't be able to even maybe think about without the technology available to them, to see how other people solve problems and things like that.
And would you say the collaboration has drastically increased in your classroom with the use of the technology?
Absolutely, not only inside my classroom, but even outside my classroom. As I think it was Kylie was saying, it allows them to work together on projects, to share documents, and to put pieces together. Not just Google, but even iMovies and other things, WeVideo, that allows them to work together.
Great, thank you. All right, we appreciate you stopping in and showing us your classroom, and we'll move on. Thank you.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, as Trey's queuing up our next digital visit, I have to say, I mean, looking at your faces, I can see that it's exciting to actually be able to open up the doors and see what's happening in education. And I think one of the really cool things is that we see this every day. And so technology and the access to technology has really given us the ability to open our classrooms and be more transparent. And so we happened to be at a meeting, a district meeting, a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the community coffee, and we're like, what are we going to do? I mean, I could stand up here and talk for hours, and Dr. Tucker knows that, and so does most of the people in the audience. But what we wanted to do is really highlight the voices of the staff and the students. And so at this particular meeting, what we did is I went around and just took video of people, and I asked them, how is Access changing your life? So I've got a 3-minute video for you. I will tell you right now, I am not a videographer, but I very much believe in the idea that we have to model what we want our teachers and students to do. And so it's about the message, it's about the content, and it's not necessarily always about the finished product being the best ever. So keep that in mind when you watch this, because there are a few bumps and bruises in the middle, but it is really fantastic. So this has a lot of speaking from educators across the district. Oops. Let me get that to play.
I think the benefit at South Valley of students being one-to-one is them being able to learn at their own pace. Our teachers are really doing a wonderful job of getting kids access to information everywhere. They use a variety of sites to host all of the information, so if a student is not at school, they can feel like they're at school and be a part of the conversation, be a part of the presentations and everything else that goes with being a student. It's helped us to connect with each other better better as a school, as well as students in other schools, and then also connect with kids in other districts, which is important.
I think for me as a special education teacher, the one thing I always felt was technology is something that can level the playing field for my kids.
Probably one of the biggest things I think is the ability to collaborate with other students and with the teachers, the fact that they can work together on documents, help each other. That's one of the biggest things I think that I see that was not happening before we had the one-to-one technology.
I feel like it has helped us remove obstacles. So before we would have certain times when we could do certain things, and we'd say, well, when we schedule the lab, we can do that. But now all those barriers are gone and we have fewer obstacles.
Teachers do most with the one-to-one is they're expanding beyond the walls of their classroom. They're going deeper into learning and contacting experts that before was never done. And so that's just great seeing the expansion of learning.
It's changing because they have the information at their fingertips. They need to, I think we still need to teach them how to look for the real information. Teaching them how to manage that time, I think, is very useful for teachers and students.
Time is now spent meeting students' needs rather than bringing home 50 papers to grade every night and spending an hour grading. It's graded immediately, and then I can spend my time thinking, how can I best help them with this, or how can I enrich them in the standard, rather than wasting time paper grading, and then it's a week later and I'm giving them feedback and they don't care anymore. So real time, love it.
Giving students another outlet and opportunity to express themselves, and it's allowed me to, instead of having me be the only way my kids learn, giving my kids 4 or 5 different ways to learn that they want to explore, that they want to try, and give them different ways to express themselves in their thinking and their learning. It's opened so many doors for them to show me things rather than me to show them things.
Changed my classroom immensely. I feel like everything that I do now in my classroom involves some sort of technology, so it's enhanced my students' motivation, it's enhanced their memory, it's just enhanced everything, and it just, I can't even imagine going back.
Okay, so now we're going to get ready for our next presentation here, next group learning event. Let's go right there. All right, Carrie, can you hear us? Are you, hold on a second, let me see if.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear us?
We can. Can you hear us?
Oh, very good. Yes, we're good to go. How was everything over at Manor Hill today?
Everything at Manor Hill is going really good today. So far, we are on target.
Well, very good. So
we're having fun those last few days before, Christmas can be wild. So we're doing really good.
Well, good. That is great. So with us, just to let everybody know, we have Carrie Sneed with us. Carrie is a kindergarten teacher at Manor Hill Elementary. And so, Carrie, just have a couple questions for you. So the first one would be, how are iPads changing teaching and learning in your classroom?
There is so much changing going on. Just a reminder, I teach kindergarten, and so this is the year of firsts for so many things. This is the first time they've been away from mom and dad. This is the first time some of these kids have held pencils, been in a structured situation. So we are adding something new in there like iPads, and it's totally going to throw us off, but for the better. So, at first, the big thing that changed for us was the time that it spent for iPads or technology. Previously, we wouldn't start in technology things until like January time, but we were encouraged to start it so much earlier this year that it took us a little longer to build up all of our community building and set up our rules. But looking back, totally worth it, because the changes that we have made have been awesome. And even though it's just been a little bit, because like I said, it's kindergarten, it's the foundation for everything, I am starting to see such neat things that are going to happen later this year, or even when these kids are into first and second grade with the foundation that we're starting so early. It's going to be awesome to see the things that they can do. We started out really small, trying not to get caught up in some of the cool things is really hard, because you get online and you get on Twitter and you start, seeing what your friends are doing in these 3rd and 4th grades, and you're like, oh, we could do that, but they're not reading and writing and knowing their letters and such. So we try not to get too overwhelmed in the cool things, and just remember that it's the foundation that we're trying to teach. So, the very first thing was introducing those iPads. That changed. well, it's just okay. So for the iPads, the biggest thing that we started was with Lexia. That changed because again, we used to have to take out a whole chunk of our day and go over to the computer lab, and now we're like in small groups. That's what these guys are doing right now is a small group, and they can do Lexia during that time, and that's just such a nice thing to be able to personalize their learning, which I couldn't do before. So, some other things that some of these kids for writing is really difficult for them, but I want them to get the concept of writing down. And so the iPads have allowed us to do that. There's apps such as Scribble My Story, which is one we use, where they can draw the pictures and narrate the story. So they're still getting that idea of how to get words out, but maybe they're not quite ready to write it yet. So that's really helped. It's given them opportunities to have more books, which has changed. Before, we'd only get that little time in the computer lab, and now I can set up stations where they're on Lexia, they're doing a writing activity at the next station, and then they're doing Raz Kids, which is reading on grade level or on their level books, or tumble books or nonfiction Pebble Go. So it gives them this all these different stations that they can do. Every day from 8 to 9, I am able now to do win time, which stands for what I need. So I can give each group individual learning, which I couldn't do before. And I can do a whole hour of that, like I said, because each kid has their iPad and can do something different with them. I love it's changed that the biggest thing is I can personalize their learning, like I said, with just being able to do different things with that. Another big thing that I'm absolutely in love with is how I can communicate with parents through this. And it's such real time. I use Seesaw, the app Seesaw, which is basically a digital portfolio. And, I began really simple with that, with just taking pictures of what they were doing or videoing with what they were doing. And it's real time. The parents get an email notification immediately. They can check it on their phone. They can check it on their child's iPad, on their iPad device, whatever. And they can immediately see pictures of their kids working. They can see photos of what their kids have done. They can hear, because I can record what the kids have done. I can record my directions so the parents can hear how something is being done, the vocabulary that I'm using. Instead of having to wait till we set up, a parent-teacher conference, which is not that real time anymore. That was sometimes it's oh, here's what they did 3 weeks ago, but now I'm able to say, look what they did today. And the parents then can communicate right back. And it gives the kids this oomph and, this excitement when they can hear, look at what, my mom said. It just kind of gives that collaboration piece. So those are some really big differences that are happening in just a small amount of time in the first year. So it'll be exciting to see what more changes happen at the end of the year and even next year and the year after. So just biggest thing is setting up that foundation for the learning for them. So those are some big changes.
That's great,
that are
Carrie. I mean, it
happening.
sounds like a lot of great things going on. I will definitely second the Seesaw app. My youngest uses it. His teacher at Schumacher uses it with them, and so it's fun to see all the stuff come in and be able to sit down and go over it with them, look at what they're doing, listen to their recordings and stuff that they're doing as well. So definitely a lot of good things that are going on. Can you have a couple students explain some things that they do or have done with the iPads and learning this year?
Yeah. Hey guys, who would like to share first what they like about the iPads? Aiden, you want to come here? Can you tell my friend Mr. Trey here? Can you tell him how have the iPads changed our learning?
It changed our learning by literally us do. It changed our learning about doing sight words and sounding out stuff and reading, and mostly the important one. That one would be learning. This one's the least important one.
Which one?
Learning how to tell a story.
Learning how to tell a story. So you really like the Scribble My Story. That one is really cool. Because do you enjoy writing, or is writing sometimes kind of hard? Yeah, but Scribble My Story allowed you to get that story out, didn't it? To use all your words. I love that. He was talking about the sight words. We use on Seesaw, I can send out PDF files of the, slideshows of all the sight words, and I can individualize it. So he might get what he's working on, whereas another student might get what they're working on. And then when I say, go work on your sight words, they pick up just what they need. And then parents at home can see what they're working on. So personalize that learning and sharing all what we're learning. Thank you, Aiden. Bentley, would you like to come up and tell us something?
Lexia makes us learn because it makes us smart.
So you like being able to get on Lexia? That's really nice. And it's nice that with the iPads, I don't have to have just one big time for it. I can say, hey, we have a few minutes. You guys can get on Lexia or on something. And surprisingly, several of my kids choose Lexia, which that's pretty awesome that it's compatible on these iPads and gives them that personalized learning time again. So would anybody else?
It got cut short, slow on that one. Is she there?
Come here.
Yep.
You have to make him go somewhere. Like if it goes that way, you get the arrow and put him that way.
She's talking about the game, a game or an app called Codable. So I used to hear about kids that were coding in kindergarten, and I was like, that's ridiculous. We don't need to. But it actually is pretty cool, the things that it's teaching the kids. And with the hour of code, I was honestly shocked that my kids could actually participate and do some of those things at this age and how much they liked it. I got several emails from parents saying, what is this game they're talking about, and can you send it to me? And they work on them at home. So she's doing pretty awesome too. Lots of cool learning in here that's going on. Lots of capturing, lots of things we're able to capture with the iPads. So pretty awesome with the coding and the videos that they can take and the pictures and the coding. But really the coolest thing that I like about the iPads is being able to share it with other teachers through the iPads, being able to share it with the parents and the staff. And we couldn't have done that without those.
That's great, Carrie. I definitely appreciate it. Is there anything else before we go?
I don't think so. Just a big thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to have these iPads in the classroom. And thank you for giving us lots of grace on learning about them, because this is definitely a process for me as well to figure out what I can do and how I can do more and how I can keep it appropriate and fun and exciting in kindergarten. Because they've got a lot more years of learning, and I want to make sure it's fun for them, but also prepare them for what's ahead of them.
Well, great. Thank you, Carrie Sneed, Manor Hill Elementary kindergarten class. Thanks again. You guys have a good day. Bye.
You too.
I love listening to kindergartners. I mean, if you don't get inspired by that, and if you think about it, that is going to be our first graduating class that will never know education without one-to-one access. And that, to me, is a game changer. And one of the things that I think is really exciting is that as we looked at rolling this out over 3 or 4 years, sorry, wrong spot, that what we found was that, you know, at first people are saying, oh, there's an app for that, there's an app for that, there's an app for that. And you just don't hear that. When you're walking through classrooms now, you're hearing, we are learning because we are doing this. And you hear a lot about the individualized learning and the personalized learning. And what we're able to do with the technology is to be able to leverage where the student is at that time and really go deeper for each individual kid. And that's what this is about. That's what education is and why it's so exciting right now. And one of the things I loved that she was talking about at the end was the codable part. And as a school district, we have chosen to take 3 independent hours out of our time to be able to explore and to work with the hour of code. And in this next video that you're going to see, at the very end, you're going to see a classroom, a kindergarten classroom. It's actually Carrie's from Manor Hill. And they are doing an unplugged coding activity, so you'll get a chance to see that. And I know that my own kids, I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old that are here in Liberty Public Schools, and I'm so blessed because every time I'm telling them, turn off the electronics, no more electronic time, and then one will inevitably come up and say, hey Mom, how about if I code? If I'm creating a game on Scratch, is that okay? Okay, but I've got to be able to see what you're doing with it. And it's just shocking because, as a kid, I would have never thought about coding and creating these games and all of these really intricate things. And so the learning process has been really fun to watch. And so this video came about because after we did the first video and we needed some time in between pulling up the Google Hangouts, I started thinking, we need more material. You guys need to hear from more people, more students, see more pictures. And I didn't have another district meeting that I was going to pop into, and they were all surprised when I pulled out my camera and took video. And so I just shouted out to a bunch of teachers across the district, and I said, hey, you have any pictures, you have any video that I can include to really show you guys what's happening in the classroom? So that's where this came about, and just really kind of a bunch of ideas around how we're connecting learning for our kids.
Having a one-to-one resource in my classroom has given my students the opportunity to research and create and to show what they know to the whole world.
It has really allowed my students at all different learning levels to be able to show me their learning.
It increases student engagement and allows them to take ownership of their learning.
Because it works for a lot of games. It'd be a lot of fun to get to.
This is where it gets tough.
Well, we're doing pretty good.
There are many things I love about Project Lead the Way as a teacher, but I think two of the ones that I love the most are the opportunities it lends the children to think critically and to solve problems. Every module is equipped with a real-world problem that they're solving, and I think it's just really important for kids, and it helps with the engagement when they are put in situations that are outside of the classroom.
I love Project Lead the Way because it's a team effort.
I love Project Lead the Way because we get to do experiments and we learn science in fun ways.
Well, we are learning how to program robots and work with the team, and that is a very important life skill. We are also learning how robots play such an important role in our society today. I also like how the teachers are more hands-off, so they don't help you as much. I mean, they still help you, but they don't help you that as much. Allows you to problem solve and figure things out yourself, which is a very important key in life.
Project Lead the Way, we are learning how robots make our life easier, and we are learning how to program a robot to be autonomous or move on its own. I love how I learn while I'm doing stuff, and how my fails like help me learn to know what to do next.
One-to-one iPads in my classroom has been great for my kids. They've gotten to show their learning in a lot of different ways that they normally wouldn't be able to. One of the best parts is it allows them to collaborate together. They've worked together to create some projects that are pretty awesome and kind of expanding the skills that they're going to have for later in schooling and later in life. Another great aspect is with the use of video and things like that, they've been able to reflect on their work, share their work with parents and other people, and kind of get feedback in a lot of different ways.
Down, one. On left, one. Go back, 3 times. Yay!
I just love that. That was the unplugged activity, and so it's the idea that you can learn about how to think, plugged or unplugged. And I don't know if you caught that on the video, but one of the girls that was talking in the middle was saying that she loves it when she fails because it tells her what to do next. And I thought, wow, I mean, like, that is really cool. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So thank you to all the Liberty teachers and students who participated and contributed to that information. And so now we have another hangout. Our final hangout is with Julie Bollmeyer. And she is, hi Julie, do you see me?
Hi.
Oh, there you are.
Yep.
Okay, this is Julie Bollmeyer. She is Principles of Bio, she does a lot of things. Principles of Biomed teacher at Liberty North. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Julie? A little bit more. Give us some.
I'm Julie. I've been teaching, this is my 8th year. My 4th or 3rd teaching Principles of Biomed up here at Liberty North. I'm an E-lead, and I just really like to get involved in things like this. So,
which is really exciting because Julie pushes me all the time. She's constantly thinking, and it's really exciting. So we do have a couple questions because we have really done a lot with STEM here at Liberty Public Schools. And I do think that because we have access, it does help some of those processing skills and to be able to help us get to where we need to go. So I've got a couple questions for you, Julie. Why is STEM important? And how is it changing your focus on teaching and learning?
STEM is one of the fastest growing fields for students to get jobs in when they graduate. I think that the last time that data was released, something like 8 out of the 10 fastest growing fields are in STEM. And we have a lot of students that come in that know they like science, but everybody says, you know, I want to be a doctor, a surgeon, I'm a veterinarian. And we just like to be able to show students that there's something out there in science for everybody. So it's not necessarily a 10-year school commitment if you love science and want to be involved. Project Lead the Way and programs like that give us the opportunity to expose students to different kinds of careers that are kind of outside that normal box of thinking. So it's really exciting for us to be able to do that. It also lets us move the focus of the teaching and the learning from things like textbooks and vocabulary to more real world applications. So it's really cool to get to see the students experience those things and kind of get a broader picture of what science really is.
And so in your course, you're doing a lot of project-based learning, or PBL. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so do you...
classes based around a PBL.
Okay. And so do you have some students, or would you like to share with us some ideas about, you know, in your particular class, the one that you have right now behind you, these students are not only in this biomed class, but they're taking it on top of a biology course. Is that correct?
Yeah, if they're freshmen, all of our freshmen take Bio 1. So freshman students who come into Principles of Biomed elect to take a second science class their freshman year. So it's a bit of a commitment, but I do have a couple of kids who are willing to talk. I'm going to have Alan come up first and tell you a little bit about why you'd take PBS.
So when I signed up for this class, I didn't know really what to expect, but when I came here, it's really fun. You get to learn on by yourself. Not by yourself, but you get to learn in a different environment, and you get to see more fields instead of just basic biology. You get to go more in depth and see more things.
Mm-hmm. Good. And then I think Cassie?
We really appreciate you guys sharing with us on finals week. We know that we've only got a couple of days before the holiday break.
Okay. So I took this class because I thought it was going to be a little different, but when I got here, it was very different than what I expected, but it's really good because it kind of connects to our biology class, and it just goes really in depth, and it's like, yeah, you learn a lot more and they connect, so you're kind of doing the same thing at the same time, and sometimes you already know something from the other class, so it's really nice.
So can you tell me too, like how does having your laptop help you in this class? Do you ever use it? Is it an important component?
Yeah, we use it a lot. We do a lot of research, but also we have a good balance between like the paper and the laptop.
Fantastic. You still do labs, correct?
Yes, a lot.
Everybody likes labs, hands-on. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So, anybody else? Can you say anything? No?
You're like, oh no. So Julie, I do have a question for you. So in what ways do you see students grow as independent learners through PLTW?
One of my favorite things about the Project Lead the Way classes is that I don't lecture anymore. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 times in a year where I've actually got like a PowerPoint on the screen where I'm running through notes. It's a daily expectation for the students to kind of go out and seek their own information. And it's always a little bit of a struggle for them at the beginning of the year because they're having to be independent and they're not necessarily used to that. Like, how do we know if our input's right? How do we know those kinds of things? But it's really great to watch them as time goes on, get more independent and more confident with those kinds of skills, because I think that's what's really going to help them down the line. And I just think that that's really a great skill for them to learn because it makes them more independent and it gives them more ownership over their own learning. And like I said, that gradual release to independence for them, I think is genuinely helpful. These are still kids that have always kind of viewed technology as kind of like fun time. It hasn't been a completely integral part of their lives since day one. So it's also really cool to see them start using the laptop and really seeing it as a learning tool, as opposed to maybe kind of a more recreational thing. So like watching them expand those skills and learn how to really use them as a vital academic tool is really, really nice.
Have you been noticing that students are gaining those skill sets?
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of a struggle for them always at the beginning, and we have to talk about it a lot. How, well, no, I'm not going to tell you, you can go and find it. Here's some resources, like go and see if you can figure it out on your own, and then we'll talk about it later. But more and more as time goes on, they just kind of inherently start doing those things. So that's really rewarding when they start getting to that point.
So how was that for a shift for you in terms of teaching? So if you've been doing this for 8 years, I'm assuming this year is slightly different than your first year.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I don't like to lecture. I've never liked to lecture because I always feel bad for the students who maybe write slower and want to listen at the same time as I write. So then in the past I had moved to where I let the kids write and then I talk, like when everybody's done, then I talk about the slides. And it ended up being where like a simple like note-taking experience would take 40 minutes. And so this is much better because I can send the kids out to kind of do their own research and then bring everyone back together, show them for sure what they need to have, and then they can supplement their own notes with what I've got. So it makes things go much faster. And like I said, then the students have more ownership of the material that they've found. It's not just them kind of mentally regurgitating what I've given them from the board. Like it's something that they found, like they compared it to what they had to what I have, and then they're kind of adding to it as we go. So
fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our audience?
It's more exciting to me than I can say that we've got Project Lead the Way in the middle schools and the elementary schools now. It's such an amazing program, and I'm glad that the younger students in the district are getting the opportunity to really kind of get to see engineering and medical practices kind of in action in their classrooms. And I think that the classes are just an excellent like background class and supplement to anything else that they're doing, because it gives them problem solving skills and design process and things like that. And it just shows you that science can really be applied pretty much anywhere. So I think they're great programs. I highly encourage people to get as involved with it as they can. And yeah, so that's really
fantastic. We so appreciate it. And I want to wish all of your students good luck on the rest of their finals. I know that you've still got another hardcore day ahead of you, so hopefully that will all turn out well.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Oh, I forgot. All right, so with all of this we've been talking about, we have been sharing, you've seen kindergarten with iPads, you've seen some teachers who work with the Chromebooks and the MacBooks. And one of the things that we noticed and we took a real intentional focus on last year was the idea behind digital citizenship, because we know that our students are growing up, whether we agree or disagree, whatever, our students are growing up with access, and they are growing up in a digital world, and we have to teach them how to have those really positive digital citizenship skills, and to be able to give themselves a great start for their life in terms of their identity and who they are online. So one of the things that we have done is we have implemented a K-12 focus on digital citizenship concepts, where all teachers are sharing with students and engaging in conversations around what does it mean to be a good citizen. So what does that mean when you put your information online? You know, what should you share? You know, how are you interacting with people, and how are we working with that idea of cyberbullying options and some of those things that might crop up? How do we help our students better understand how they can combat some of these and reduce the risk? So I would like to point out that every one of our elementary schools, K-5, have all worked through curriculum from Common Sense Media, which is a really great source for parents and for our school system. And they are all now officially certified. So you are going to be seeing this banner hanging in every one of the elementary schools, which indicates a great discussion point to ask kids, you know, hey, what have you learned? You know, what do you know about digital citizenship? But they have all been certified, and we are so proud of them. Our middle school and high school are continuing to work through digital citizenship concepts. And I think what is exciting to me is we use a program called Clarity Bright Bites to gather data about how our digital transformation program is going. And what we're finding is, because of our intentional work within digital citizenship, we are noticing that kids are getting exposed to these concepts and these important safety pieces more and more. So we're super excited that we have landed in that continued discussion about how do we keep our kids safe online, because we think that's a critically important component to our entire project.
And really, that's kind of what we have for you guys today. And so again, we appreciate everybody who was able to make it. And before going, all this is definitely a team effort. I just try not to get in anybody's way and mess it up. We definitely would like to thank some of the techs back here who helped out today, Rob, Brian, and Adam. Again, can't say enough about Tracy and Scott, what they do with our staff, the rest of the building techs, the rest of the instructional coaches, the work Dr. Westfall does with the instructional coaches. So again, Tracy for putting the presentation together. It's just a huge effort. And again, we couldn't do it without the support of the board, Dr. Tucker, the community. So we appreciate it, and we hope we are serving everybody as best that we possibly can. So again, thank you very much.
Well, thank you to Trey and his team for putting this on this morning. Tracy and Scott, thank you all for being here, as well as all of those that joined us via video chat. What a great glimpse for a few moments into the work that's going on in our classrooms. And again, at every level, as you saw, whether it's kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. I wanted to give you a couple of brief updates in respect to the board and the work that we're doing as a district. At the board level, we recently learned that the Elementary Secondary Education Act was reauthorized by the federal government, and it is now referred to as the Every Student Succeeds Act. You will formally know that as No Child Left Behind. The focus moving forward is our transition both at the federal level, the state level, but then certainly at the local level in regard to the impact that these changes will have. We do believe it will provide additional autonomy for our classrooms, for our schools, for our districts across Missouri. And we really have a convergence of a couple of things that are going on in our state. As we've wrestled through the last couple of years and landing on academic standards, as we look to the next iteration of what assessment looks like, but then also as we look to the transition with ESSA, we feel like we have an opportunity not only to impact our local district and our local schools, but for Liberty Public Schools to truly lead and influence and impact the state of Missouri. And so we're excited about that, and we're not necessarily satisfied either. As we talk about technology integration, we've reached a lot of landmarks along the way, and we've accomplished a lot of hurdles, and we can check those pieces off. But as you can see, there's more to come. And so we want to honor our teachers, our staff, our administrators for where they are at and all of the work that they've done over the years. But at the same time, we want to remain committed to that continuous growth mindset. You saw it in our kindergartners that testified this morning and shared the learning that's going on. You saw it in our staff across the curriculum, across the grade spans, and we want to stay committed to that. We are at an opportune time right now in Liberty to be able to continue to move and continue to impact students. One of the things that was shared in this morning's presentation was the focus on the individual learner, that personalized learning piece. It's interesting that I can pull up an app on my phone, the Lexia app, and I can actually scroll through every single school. I can pull up any single child to see how they're doing in their reading progress. That's an amazing piece of technology and tool that is real time, that is relevant, that is able to gauge where kids are in their learning, but then equips teachers with the ability to respond accordingly. That's what we want for our schools. And so we want that autonomy at our local level, and we really feel like we are primed for that as we continue to move forward. We greatly appreciate the work that our board and our administration and our staff do on a day in and day basis. It's been a great semester. We're looking forward to the spring semester. We have a couple of things coming up as we connect with our schools and departments through State of the District addresses. That will culminate in March in cooperation with the Liberty School District Foundation in hosting a State of the District breakfast. So we look forward to not only visioning toward the future, but being able to provide an additional update as to the work that's going on in our community. From our district, our families, from the Board of Education, our teachers, to all of you, we hope you all have a blessed holiday season.